We're back.
Way, we're back, people. I don't even know what number episode we're on now. Is it four?
Four.
Welcome to episode
We'll,
four.
we'll make it to 10.
Yeah, we've got to make it to 10 because apparently, according to the podcast studio that I used to record in, they said that podcasts only tend to last if they record 10
Yeah.
episodes.
I think you said this last time, so that's what I've got in my head. We're going to make it to 10. 11 pending.
11's my lucky number, so if we make it
Oh,
there, then we're
keep going
sweet.
to
We
11.
might retire at 11. So
If you don't like, comment, and subscribe, then we're done.
to be fair, I had a comment from someone. It wasn't a comment, it was a message actually saying that they're really enjoying the podcast and that they're hoping that we carry on going because they're competing next year. And I was like, we'll have to see how this year goes and if we're going to contract into next year.
Vote for 2027 when we're only 4 episodes in. I'll be
I love
part
it though.
of it. So we are covering the PCA naturals and
What's
the
naturals of the season?
yes, and the Two Bros Scotland. So
Hmm.
yeah, were they on the same day? They weren't on the same day.
No,
Oh,
I
then was
think Two
Saturday.
Bros was Saturday
Yeah.
and PCA was the Sunday. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. Should we start? Let's start with PCA. I've got to
let's start with
share my screen
PCA.
again. So, oh, hang on. Oh
Are
no,
we recording the
no, I've
right
just changed
format this
it.
time? Oh,
It's fine, it's fine. We're only like a minute in. We're back.
this girl.
Don't leave me with technology. It's
Uh,
fine. We're side by side. It's all good. Now I can share things again. So let's share my screen. So we want to share my Chrome. There we go.
look,
Uh,
we never claim to be experts at this, people. So,
we give
you
you
get,
this, but just give us a minute.
look, when you've got a cheap budget to work with, this is what you get. We will accept donations.
Start GoFundMe because
Yeah, I was going to say,
I
should we
don't
start a
need it.
GoFundMe?
Right, can you see my
Help
page?
us, help us elevate our podcast by 2027.
Oh God,
Um,
can you see it?
I can see it, yes.
Oh, that's good. Perfect. So it wasn't a busy show, really, was it? There was which I am baffled at that there was no fit model because
I'm
it's like
surprised.
made for like naturals. So no fit model and no athletic
Trained.
trained every time. So cat.
I was like, is she gonna do
No,
it?
trained. But it used to be called athletic. Is that why I've got it in my head? Why
No,
have
you've got
I
it
got
from
athletic wrong?
figure
No, I've got it from
or
NFM. I
NFM
said this
UK.
last time. I've got it from NFM because yeah, back I was athletic back in NFM days.
Yeah, no,
NFM
it's trained. We don't have an athletic in
trained.
PCA.
Either way, it's
Um,
threaded bikini and no one turned up.
shredded bikini.
Um, so we'll start with wellness anyway, because obviously there's no fit model, wellness. And we had Doxy.
Doxy,
She did the
congratulations.
overall.
She was our overall winner too.
And I do actually think it is very rare to find a wellness girl that is wellness and that is natural wellness as well. So
Oh, for sure.
always going to
Yeah.
be harder because of, especially if you are younger or natural or whatever. But we can see that there is like the promise of that muscle being there, which is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we were talking about this earlier as well, that like when it comes to wellness and bikini trained, to be fair, um, people always say, oh, it's unfair that they're in the overalls with bikini because they're more impressive categories, if that's what you want to call them. However, I would also say that it is less common to see really good examples of both of those in those categories. So what I would say is if you get a very good example of wellness or a very good example of bikini trained, it is really hard to beat them in the
Yeah.
overall. But it's just less common that you see on the money examples. And obviously, Doxy's done enough to be deemed to be a very good example of wellness. And as a result of that, gone on to take the overall, and her presentation is confident,
Yeah,
and that's one thing that I just wanted to touch on, like, because a lot of people worry about wobbles and
I
mistakes and
was
everything
about to
like
say
that.
that as well.
Now, I wouldn't say that, like, I'm not going to say, oh, she made mistakes, but there
Oh,
was a wobble
yep,
there, and she still went on to win the overall, right?
yeah,
So people worry about their stage performances being perfect. Obviously, the eye walks aren't judged. So by this point, any wobbles and
it's your
mistakes
time.
made, that's your time. It won't count
Yeah,
anyway. But if this happened in your class, they're not gonna put a big red X next to your name and be like,
she,
ah,
she
like,
stumbled.
yeah, demoted to fifth. Like, it's not gonna happen. I think what people need to be in the mindset of remembering is it's not the mistake you make, it's how you recover from it that
Yeah,
matters.
I've seen
Um,
wobble and then they go, oh, and then they're all flustered. And then you can see that the cogs are turning and then they're like stumbling and they're trying to, like, just no, you wobble, you smile, you just click back into place. Like those 2 seconds didn't matter. But when you wobble and then you're like, and then you're like
yeah.
flustered and then you stumble, like you're prolonging it and you're making it
Mhm.
more obvious. And then it's just ruining your experience on stage. Because
Oh
the
yeah,
judges are
100.
smiling back at you. Like if you
Yeah,
make anything, they smile more to give you more confidence to be like, you've got this, it's fine. Like,
yeah,
don't worry, breathe. So it's
yeah,
us being our biggest critics. They were like, oh, I
yeah.
fluffed it when you really didn't.
And as well, 9 times out of 10, the wobble feels massive to you, but it doesn't look
Yeah,
that
like that.
massive in
Nothing.
reality.
Yeah,
Like, it's not a big deal. And remember, part of the judging is how you make the judges feel, right? If
mm,
they enjoy looking at you, that's positive. Then
yeah,
they're going to feel more positively about you, which means that that's likely to make you in more favor. Whereas if you wobble and then you've got a face like a smacked ass for the rest of the time you're on stage,
the
they're going to
deer
be
in the
going,
headlights
she's
because you
not
can't
having
get
a
it
good
back.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, think about how you want them to remember you. You don't want them to remember you as the girl that had a wobble and then looked miserable for the rest of the time that she was on stage. You want them to be that girl where it's like she had a wobble, but she laughed it off and she carried on.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have known she made a mistake by the time it got to the end of the class. Like they're not going to judge you based on a mistake or a wobble. They know you're human. They just want you to crack on and continue like it didn't happen.
Something I really like with her posing is the way she is moving her arms around, but it's
Yes.
very controlled and like
Yes.
purposeful. So you
Yeah.
can do these hand gestures. You can like I'll always say for like my first time as rule of thumb, don't bring your hands like above your belly button. Just keep them closed and keep them soft. But when you can control your body, it does create such a nice presentation. Like every part of her posing has a point, has a purpose. So she's
Yeah.
controlling, like, is always doing certain things, but it's really, really impactful in the way she poses because you're just watching how she like moves her body. But it's very, like I said, nothing is outrageous, nothing's quick, nothing's sharp. It's very soft. So this is like the
Yeah.
flow that everyone wants. It's like connecting really well.
Yeah, you control how your body moves. Don't let it control you.
Yeah.
Do you know
Don't
what I
let
mean?
the
So it's
arms
like
go everywhere.
it's yeah, it's all about being intentional about the hand movements and moving your body in a way that suits your personality. Like I'm the same as you, Georgia. Like typically when I'm teaching, I'm like keep the hands low and sweeping. I think personally in wellness, you can get away a bit more with having high
Little head
hands
back.
and being a little bit more
Yeah.
flirty and a
Moving
little
your
bit
hair
more,
and yeah.
yeah, strokey and all of that. Not
Don't
rubbing
stroke
your butt
yourself.
cheeks
Yeah.
or
Don't.
anything like that. We don't
Oh,
want to see it, right? But like the stroking across the collarbone. But
yeah.
you've got to be very intentional about how you are doing that. Otherwise, it just looks like you're flapping around. And
Yeah.
then it's like, what is she doing with her hands? So
Just
you
looks
want to,
messy.
yes. So as long as you are controlled and you're doing it with intention and you are making it happen rather than just letting it wave around,
Mm.
then game on.
Yeah, definitely. But otherwise, only one in the class, which you can't control, but either way, still presented a really, really nice look. So yeah, hopefully more shows to come so we can see her in a lineup and be against a few gals and see how she can showcase herself there.
Yeah. And also, like, I just want to touch on that because First timers baffle me. This isn't a first timer, by the way. This is uh naturals, and these
Yeah.
girls have probably competed before. But I get it a lot from first timers at the moment where they're like, "Oh, I'm petrified about getting on stage, but I'm also petrified about being the only one in my class. I want to compete against people." And I'm like, "Look, like just you're the only one in your class. Just
Yeah.
have a good time, take the win, and then compete in the overall." Like, you are going to compete against people, so don't let it put you off. Like it doesn't take away from the work that you put
Well,
in
that's
if
what
you
I do.
are
Then
the
with
only one in the class. Just
two
do the
bro
damn thing.
shows. You walk on, you do your bit. If anything, you get more time on PCA. You don't get as much time with two bros.
Yeah,
But hey, I couldn't control no one else was there. I'm still gonna go on do what I need to do. Like it shouldn't deter what. Yes, it's nice to stand against girls, but like you said, you're then in the overall. You can still stand against some other girls, and at
yeah,
least with PCA, you still get all these reels. You do more shows. You can keep like making sure you come back better because ultimately, it doesn't matter whether you're up against people or not. What have you presented? How are you going to be better? Like that's the
yeah.
main thing. So,
No, absolutely. So yeah,
but
don't
well
worry if you
done
are the only one. It
for the
happens
overall
sometimes.
and for being up there by yourself.
Congrats.
Then we have the juniors. So there were three juniors.
Mhm.
But we have the winner is Kaylin. So
Congratulations.
Kaylin did the
First
first
timers, wasn't it?
timers. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she did the first timers and she came third at the first timers.
Hmm.
Um, so she's come back, and something that we did notice that we picked up on was whether she has or not, because we were unsure if it was camera difference, but posing does look like it's better. We're improved a little bit there. So if I get that picture up, we'll go to that one in a minute.
Yeah, so just to clarify what we were saying about the camera angle is we did do a bit of a side by side. Oh, you might want to refresh that page. Oh, don't worry, it's working again now.
So I was
We
going to
did
say,
we
I'll
did a
press
bit
the
of a
share.
we did a bit of a side by side so that we could see what, if any, improvements were made in Kaylin's physique, to take her from a third position at first timers to a first place in the naturals. And we could see that there were some posing improvements in the side by sides that we were looking at, but we couldn't tell if that was improvements that had gone away and been made with the posing, or if the camera angle was slightly different between the two shows that was making the posing look different. But regardless, whatever whatever the posing was for this show, we want to see it more like that.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. So this is what we were talking about, is
It
the
was
the
just taking
picture
a
on the
minute to
left.
load. That's why I looked
No,
so
no, no.
serious because I was getting it up, so it made sense what we were talking about.
Yeah, so the picture on the left, which was first timers, looks more direct and straight on.
Hmm.
Whereas the picture on the naturals looks like it was slightly taken from the judge's left,
Hmm.
which would potentially make the same pose look slightly different from a photographic angle. But if it was a posing improvement, we love whatever you've done
Yeah.
in the
Look at
naturals.
like the waist to the glutes here.
Yes.
Really, really nice. The waist just looks a lot more controlled. It looks smaller, tighter. The glutes look a lot better.
Hmm.
So yeah, we still got a really nice top line here. Hand on your waist is lovely. And again, imposing, not only obviously do your glutes just look a lot fuller, it's showing a bit
Hmm.
more detail here. Just the overall proportions for what like they're going to be looking for is just
Yeah.
going to help draw your eye line a lot more. So camera or
Yeah.
not, like keep nailing your
Do it
pose.
like this. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yes.
going to make such a big difference when it comes to just to placings more than anything. For you to
Yeah,
get
Caitlin, if you're sitting there going, well, I didn't do anything different with my posing, so I don't know what they're talking about. I think
yeah,
a slight twist to the side more has favoured
show
your
those
your
glutes.
shape. Yeah,
And then because there was also because there was Kaylin and then we had Eva and Eva was
Eva
also in the
in
first
first
timers
timers. Yeah, so I
and
think Eva came fourth. So again, just behind
mm,
Kaylin in first timers.
and we
And we
love
were talking.
Eva's condition.
We
It's
do.
nice condition.
Yeah, very impressive. I think the thing we both agreed on when we talked about it though was presentation of the upper body, and that's potentially what's
Just back here.
um
You just
hurting a little bit here. In the uh, if we can do some work to get more height on those shoulders, that's going to just bring this look together more and also making sure that you're not pinching your back in your back pose, which typically comes from pulling the arms back behind
Yeah.
you. So just something to watch out for. And I personally, I don't know if you agree with this, Georgia, but um, I think I would probably recommend staying away from the power pose, personally, because I think that the power pose, when you haven't already got height in the shoulders, can flatten off the shoulders more. And a lot of people move towards the power pose now because it's trendy,
Mhm.
but I don't think it suits everybody. And if you haven't got naturally peaked shoulders, or you're able to put your hands on your hips and push your shoulders up and out at the same time, you're better off just taking both hands off the hips and rotating the shoulder up and into place, rather than the power pose, which isn't going to favor
Because
you to meet the category criteria.
I think she looks amazing. And this
Mhm,
back shot, taking away the top, if we look at the
mhm,
glutes, very good glute shot.
mhm.
But
Yeah.
this is where you're pulling your arms behind. So you're bringing them towards the judges. Whereas if we have a look at Kaylin, when Kaylin, she creates that balance from top to bottom. So she's
Mhm.
not as lean, like we don't see all those quad lines and stuff. We don't need to with juniors so much. But you see how she brings those shoulders out, bring those lats out. So it creates that nice solid X frame. Same with the posing, like in the side poses, lovely top line, glutes are popping. Then again, when we look at her back pose, so yes, they might not be as lean, which again, apples and oranges when it comes to things like this. But
Yeah.
back pose, that's where we've got that pose.
Yeah.
Again, nice full glutes at the top, so it's creating that X frame. If
Mhm.
I get the photo up that we had a minute ago, because we then compared the two photos here. Oh, load. There we
Let's
go.
just take it. There we go.
So we can just see the difference. Like, yes, it's two different physiques that are being presented in their own ways. Like, yes, we're not as lean here, but the balance top to bottom. And these are just photos that I've just taken them off what PCA have tagged these two amazing girls in. But we can just see what we're talking about here with the shoulders, like amazing shoulder striations, but we're just not presenting as much as we could do in the shoulders. And that where that elbow comes back, that shoulder rolls forward. Roll the elbow
Yeah.
underneath, open that shoulder up. That's going to create that nice look that
Yeah.
we want to look for. Again, look at
Yeah.
the difference in the arms that when we think like the arm is, oh, that's not a pen. The arm is coming out nicely here. But when we start rotating it up, and this is to exaggerate, but rotate it that way, that's what's going to cause that shoulder to come forward.
Yeah, so the higher the hand comes, the flatter the shoulder will look.
Yeah.
So what we obviously don't want to clamp the elbow into the side because that's going to stop the lat from coming out. But I
Mhm.
think sometimes people get carried away in thinking about a lat spread and getting their back as wide as possible. Now, obviously in the back pose, it's important to have the back open, but the wider you try to push your back, the higher your arms are going to come. And the higher your arms come, the flatter your shoulders look. So you want to have the back open, but not at the cost of getting your shoulders up. So it's about finding that right balance that allows you to have an open lat with a high and wide shoulder.
Mm. So this is the best I could do for drawings. So being able to bring that
Better
arm
than me.
down, I try and see it like think of it like it's contouring your body. Obviously, yeah, don't clamp it like you said, but think this arm is closer to being presented nicely, so it contours the body. So think about that coming in. And then I would say this arm is just a little bit high. So again, the higher the arm, the more pointy and sticky outy your arm is going to look, and it's going to make your frame just look a lot more out of place. Remember, everything is about balance. It's about that top line. Whereas look how like it's drawn in here nicely into your waist to then come out. So
Yeah.
just a couple little posing tweaks, and it could be really interesting because again, they're two different physiques being presented in their own way, and they're both, especially for juniors, both really lovely. But to see if there was some posing tweaks there between both of them to keep improving, to see how they could
Yeah.
keep going.
I think it's really interesting because when you look at them, it's they both have a lot of similarities, but it's almost like each one has what the other needs.
Mm.
So, like when you look at this side by side, shape-wise, there's not a huge amount of difference in size or shape. They're creating similar silhouettes, but Kaylin is presenting her upper body better.
Hmm.
Um, and Eva has better condition. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like if both of them, if you switched that, it would be really hard, I think, to pick between the two. If
Yeah.
both of them had the same level of condition and
Yeah.
presentation of upper body, I'd be
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't want to
Each
be on the
other's
judging
strengths.
panel to
Yeah.
pick. Yeah, I wouldn't be on the want to be on the judging
Yeah.
panel to pick. But just going back to what you were saying about the hand on the waist,
Yep.
the most natural position to have that in is to find your hip bone and to
Yeah.
sit your hand just on top of your hip bone. As well, try not to bring your hand round onto your tummy. This is what people typically tend to do. It's an old school idea
Make their
that if
waist
you
look
have your,
smaller.
yeah, if you have your hand on your stomach, it makes your waist look smaller. But actually, it's just really
Just brings
distracting.
your
And it
arm round
also,
too much that it just, yeah, distracts from what could be flow.
remember for PCA as well, all the judges that are sat on the panel, they're either posing coaches, pros, or they've been competitors before. They know all the tricks. So when you're pulling your arm round onto your tummy, they're not going, oh, that looks nice. They're going, why is she doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, is she trying to hide a midsection that doesn't look that small, or is she lacking mobility? And that's why. So all these things that you think maybe hide what you're trying to hide, it's not going to get past people that know and
Mm.
teach those things.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, it'd be interesting if you two are going again. Both
Mm.
little bits of feedback, but it'd be really nice to see you back on whether it's together or not. But if you
Yeah,
do keep leveling up in between, it could be really exciting.
lovely junior
Um,
looks though.
yeah, I do. Yeah, and then we had so we're straight into short. They've done it in a different order. So the short winner. Did we go? No,
We're
we
not
go.
in
No,
masters.
yeah, we got masters. Sorry, my screen
Mm.
went a bit funny there. So there was only two in 35 plus. I'm gonna struggle to say Ye
So
Yeaser.
Yeza,
Yeaser. I
we
love
right, we
it wrong.
apologize if we've
Sorry.
pronounced this wrong. We
Um,
we accept that we may not have got this right.
say it as it sounds, Yeaser. So we have Yeaser and then we had Victoria as well, which we
Mhm.
did think as well for both of these. They're again, they both have strengths, and it could have gone either way. Yeaser's very, very lean, and that we know that's what PCA do like. They do prefer that leaner look. Like especially when she's walking here. We can see a little bit of those quad lines coming in, very, very small waist. We can see a little bit nervous, which we know we all get a little bit nervous when it comes to those presentations, when you're suddenly in that spotlight. So
Yeah.
bringing up that confidence, hopefully you can do some more shows because that's the biggest thing for bringing up that confidence is just the more
Mhm.
time you can get on stage, the more time you can do it, the better. But yeah,
Yeah.
waist is tiny. It's like a lot
Yeah.
of
You can
waist.
see that X frame there.
Mhm.
And I think for me, if I was going to give some feedback, I think the main thing, other than presentation confidence, would be more muscular density. I think
Yeah,
particularly for masters, where you're expected to be that little bit bigger
yeah,
because of your training age. Like I know that not every over 35s has been training for 10 years, but I think that's the principle or the ideology behind it is if you're older, you're going to have been training longer. And so your muscles should have more training age and more density and be generally bigger. So as masters competitors, we're allowed to be a little bit bigger and we're allowed to be a little bit more grainy in our condition because that's what's to be expected at that age. So whilst I appreciate that not every masters competitor gets into bodybuilding early in their lives, the best representations of the category criteria are gonna be the ones that look like they've been
yeah,
doing this for a long time. And so in order to be more competitive, I think more it's not the condition that's an issue here.
right.
It's just having more muscle under that condition so that you get that pop
Yeah,
when
because I
presenting your physique.
always something to be careful of, which is really common when we are lean and we hold that core in, is looking ribby because then we
Mhm.
just start looking, I hate this word, and it's not a bit skinny. And we don't want that. We want to be like lean. So we have to, I've had feedback before because I'm holding everything in where they're like too ribby, too ribby. So, we want to be careful that we don't, then if we don't have the muscle, but we're trying to push that condition, that can sometimes happen. And
Mhm.
also, if we try and push that condition, that's then going to eat into the muscle that we did have. So this is a little
Yeah,
bit
you might hear the
uncomfortable.
term over dieted before.
Yeah.
Like it can look like that where the condition has been pushed too far. But some of that, like you say, can be how we're presenting the physique as well. But I'm not necessarily mad at this at all. But I think that
No, she's got that nice shape there. What
yeah.
would be interesting is obviously I don't know what her personal preference would be, but if she's got another PCA show planned, fit model, because
Yeah.
of the fact she's still got glute fullness. She's got a lovely
Yes.
waist. You don't have to get leaner because we don't want you leaner. Could you fill up a little bit? Could you like, you've got a nice shape there. So, this could be something that you could then go into that. Now, it's not a
Yeah, I
coach
wouldn't
saying
argue
that,
with that.
but
No, I wouldn't argue with that
I've
at all.
got if I've got a client that wants to do a couple and they're like this in between, have a play. It's there. Like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Masters is after fit model, so she wouldn't have been moved. This is something we spoke about before. But it is, if you're open to it, have a little play with it. You want to put yourself in the best possible position for your best chosen category.
Mhm.
It's not to say that you don't belong here, especially if you can grow some muscle and all that kind of stuff. And you can see you can get into condition, but it could be the fact you could have a little play and fit model and see how you go. Because, like we said, the glutes are nice and full here. So, and you've still got to hit your back shot as normal, so you can still show
Mhm.
your back. But yeah, just something to have a little play with. Because then we have Victoria who came second.
Yeah. And I think when we spoke about this, I was like, I feel like personally, Victoria might have that little bit more muscle, but the condition wasn't as
Mm.
sharp.
Yeah,
And so it seems to me like condition has won out
yeah,
of the two here. And I think as well, Victor Yeza um potentially was displaying more of a
X.
extreme X
Yeah.
frame shape, which is obviously befitting of the category criteria. So that would probably be what I think would have edged it
Yeah, because that is
personally.
something I would say, not just for Victoria, for everyone. It's something I'm even big on myself. That core control, when you switch it on, and you notice it with Victoria, when she switches it on, especially in the side pose, her core looks really, really nice. And it's really common in transitions that we just kind of take a breath. But
Oh,
it does
I've done it plenty of
yeah,
times.
it does make a big difference. So always keeping that core control in check in as much as possible, because that's going to be a big switch, especially if you are in a comparisons like with a bigger lineup. Like we can see when she turned it on here, it was great. But when we let it go a little bit, like especially like I said, in those transitions and things like that, as much as we can, this isn't just for Victoria, this is anyone that's watching this, control that core every minute that you are on that stage because it makes a big
Yeah,
difference.
yeah.
And then there was
Oh,
only one.
and I was just going
Yep.
to say, just oh, sorry, I think there's a bit of a lag, like, but I think one thing I was going to say with Victoria is don't be afraid to just in your side poses and your back pose, just sit into your glute a little bit more, because I think that that's going to favor your shape and give the S curve in the side poses that we're looking for, and also make sure that that glute is pushed against the skin in the back pose because I think that you might be stood in those poses a little bit upright when there is potential there to create
Especially in
more
that
of
glute
that
shot,
shape that's going to help.
you could see a little bit in that glute shot there where she sat into it more. So yeah, so when we stand like really upright, which is great for the core, but you don't sit into the glutes, we're not getting as much out of it. But don't go the other way where people then sit into the glutes and then they crouch or they lean. So it's having that
Yeah,
balance,
yeah,
sit and
yeah.
twist, show the judges your glutes, but then think nice and
Mhm.
tall through that top line and through your top half. So I always say to my girls, it will hurt, but if it's not hurting, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, no, I say if it's not hurting, you're not working. So,
Yeah.
but I think like you want to almost feel like you're trying to push that glute against the
Yeah.
skin. And if you feel like you're not creating that tension, or that there isn't at least a little bit of an ache in your mid to lower back, that you could probably do with just a little bit
Yeah.
more push to create that shape.
Always think that you're showing the your glutes to the judges. You're not pushing the glutes back because that's what causes you to
Yeah.
lean forward. You're not pushing them behind you. You're showing, you're twisting and showing and making sure that, yeah, I use the analogy of like, like a rag or a flannel when you twist
Yeah,
it
ring in a
up.
towel, yeah.
Yeah, your glutes are one side and your top half's the other side. You're bringing yourself in half. If your lower back doesn't feel like that, then you're not twisting enough. So only one lovely lady, Jane, in Bikini Masters 45 plus. So is that uploaded? It froze a little bit
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I think we've caught up now. There was a little bit of a lag in there, but we've caught up now. But yeah, what I would just say, Jane, is that obviously there's no comparisons or anything like that. So I'm not sure how you would have been if you'd been on stage with other people. But again, the confidence, I think, was a big thing that stood out. You did seem a little bit nervous, but again, like George has pointed out before, especially when you're up on stage on your own, it can be very nerve-wracking. But it's your moment to shine, so have a good time. But I think that if I was going to give any critique about the physique, I think you can afford to push that condition a little bit leaner. I think, like particularly for masters, and as well, just when you're doing your posing, thinking about activating your lower body to match the effort that you're putting into your upper body, because this is something that people can do a lot with bikini, is they're focusing on getting their shoulders and their upper body in the right place. They forget to turn on their quads or push back into their glutes. And sometimes that can create what looks like an imbalance in the physique, but it's just because they're not putting any energy through the lower body in the same way that they are the upper body. And that's where you typically get people going, oh, I wish my legs were leaner. And sometimes it is a case that the legs could be leaner, but most of the time it's that people aren't actually doing anything with their legs to create the definition in the muscle that would make that pop through. And I think you would probably get a bit more muscle definition showing through in your lower half if you were working it a little bit harder. So yeah, a little bit more condition and just working on those poses to make sure you're activating all round to show off all that muscle that you've built and brought to stage.
Yeah, so yeah, I fully agree. So yeah, literally just really thinking of flexing those quads, having that little bit more condition. But I'd say as well, a lot of your posing from your upper is a little bit bent forward. So really think chest up. So then those shoulders naturally come up more, but lift through your chest. This is really common. Lift through the chest, not your arms. When people
Mhm.
roll with their arms, everything comes up and then it's all shrugged. So everything comes up higher, but lift the chest and you lift through your shoulders and the chest, and the arms stay nice and low. So just have a little play with, again, it's the back mobility that gets us, but having a little play with just keeping that chest up and shoulders up, but keeping those arms nice and low, and just slow it down. Take your time, have a good breather, and let yourself think about what you're doing, because when we're rushed, that throws our confidence even more. So
Mhm.
we've all been it, especially if this is, I don't know if you've been on stage before, but if it is your first time on stage, get back on stage a few more times so you know what to expect then as well. So you will naturally slow down a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we have the short and tall girls. So I want to say there was only one in short and one in tall as well,
Okay.
which is
Um,
unheard of. So we've got Amy in short.
Beautiful shape. I
Lovely
think
shape.
that's the first thing that stands out to me is really lovely shape for the category criteria, balanced, curve in all the right areas. I would just say in this front pose, just taking that upper body a bit wider and putting more tension into it.
Mhm.
Because I can see that you've got a lovely upper body, but I feel like maybe a little bit opposite to what I was saying to Jane in the last category. I feel like your lower body is creating all the right shapes and you're putting all the right tension in there, but the upper body is a bit relaxed. Now, obviously, with two bros, and I don't know if potentially you do compete with two bros as well, and that might be where this comes in. The feedback for two bros is that we want the upper body to look relaxed, right? Not be relaxed. I think a lot of people make that mistake of literally
Yeah.
doing nothing with their upper body. And it's like, no, they want it to look effortless, not be effortless. They're two different things. But sometimes that carries over into PCA. Now, PCA love upper body on a bikini girl, right? They want you to show it off. So give it a bit more energy and take it there. Like if you were stood on the back wall for the overall and they switched all the lights off and all they can see is your silhouette, they want to see those shoulders popping out. Like they want to pick you out as having the most extreme X frame on that back wall without being able to see who you are. And if you're not putting that energy into your shoulders, creating that height and that width, it takes away from the shape that you can be maximizing. So everything that I'm saying is you've got beautiful shape for bikini. I feel like maximizing your upper body a little bit more and just making it a little bit more energized will put the sprinkles on top of the cake because we
Hmm.
like food.
I think like I was watching her walk forward because I get so many girls that overcomplicate the walk. And I
Mm,
do like how Amy's just taken her time with it. Like she just
for sure.
walked, didn't overcomplicate, like she just walked and enjoyed it. Like that's her
Yeah.
time on stage. She smiled. She's taken her time with her posing. Like she's holding those poses nicely. She's not rushing. She's connecting the dots
Mm,
nicely. So I really like, yeah, everything that she's doing here, like within her posing. I'd say,
yeah.
yeah, if we can just bring the shoulders maybe a little bit further forward. Um, the main thing I kind of noticed was mainly the glute shots. I'd say we could just lift, think about the angles a little bit more so we don't turn too far to the back, and then we just pop that back glute up. So we create a smaller waist, but we pop those glutes up. But yeah,
Yeah.
the tempo and the control that she's showing here, and even when she comes around, that's such a big thing with coming, like doing that glute shot and giving the judges eye contact. Like she is taking her time with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like the way she's executed and carried herself on stage.
I like the overall package. It's nice. It's nice.
And then we have Chelsea, who it was the bikini tour first place. Because yeah, I don't think we had anyone else. So overall, when those quads are on, this is what we mean about flexing those quads on. There's a big difference where she walked on and then boom, when she flicks them on, that's when we can see those lines come in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think there's no denying that the shape, the raw X frame is there. Like there's some good muscle under there, solid muscle, you can see it. Feedback just on the front pose, and I don't know if you feel the same, Georgia, but like I feel like you could take your feet a touch
Wider,
wider.
that X
Just
frame.
because it's giving more Y shape rather than X shape. So I think that how far, and the same in the back pose as well. I think just taking your feet a touch wider is going to create a more extreme X frame. Now, where people's feet should sit should be relative to their clavicle width, right? So, like, if you don't have a wide clavicle, you don't want to be standing with your feet super wide apart because it's going to make you look more narrow up top comparative to the bottom, no matter how much muscle you have in either area. The same as if you've got a wide clavicle, you don't want to be standing with your feet too close together because it's going to make you look proportionately more upper body dominant, even if you're not. So I always say that as a rule of thumb, obviously you're going to have your feet turned slightly outwards, or you should, when setting up your feet in the front pose. Your toes should be in line with your shoulders once you've opened up your upper body. So when you're setting up your toes from the ground up, you want to have your toes just outside of where your shoulders are. And then when you set your upper body up and you open it up that bit wider, you should then be in line. That should then give you a balanced X frame, which is what the judges are going to be looking for.
A good tool that you can all do is take your photos because you do your check-in photos anyway. Go onto your editing app, or not your app, just go onto edit on your phone, and there will be like a pen marker and all that. But if you scroll across, there's a ruler marker. Get the ruler marker and draw a line from shoulder to shoulder straight. Are they straight? Draw a line, so make sure they're straight, which they are. Then draw a line, turn that ruler down from your shoulder to your feet and shoulder to your feet. Are they in line to what we want, what Jodie's just said? That creates that X-frame. If they're like, if you draw a line and it's shoulder to toe, we're not wide enough. If you draw a line and your feet are outside from your shoulder down, then they're too wide. But you can easily, you take your check-in photos all the time, make sure that top line is level, make sure your feet are parallel because it's really common. Everyone's got wonky hips, everyone's got a leg longer than the other to some degree. Make sure your feet are parallel and just use the ruler, like measure things up. Like it takes 2 seconds. It's a bit of a faff, but it's good for you to then visually be like, oh no, my feet are like here, but my shoulders are all the way out here, or like my
Mhm.
shoulders are like this. So you can then
Yeah.
be like, oh, that ruler's taught me how to be symmetrical. Trust me,
Because
I've used the ruler. It works.
Because again, Chelsea, like I don't think it's that you don't have a balanced physique. Like I think that your muscularity and your
But these
condition
boots
is very
fit
balanced in your
out.
physique. But I think your posing has made you look unbalanced. And that's a really easy, simple tweak to make. Like, I think that you could potentially afford to push for a little bit more condition, I think. But really, I think some tweaks to posing are going to help exaggerate your X and your S curve
Mm.
even more, and take advantage of that muscle that you have.
Really like her glute shots because her
Mm.
glutes are full. Like, yes, we could bring in a bit more condition, pull off a little bit on the, especially as females, like we struggle to lose on our lower. But and I do think again, this is another thing with core control because again, we can see in those transitions, the core just comes out a little bit. So I'd say we don't want to breathe in because that's
No.
going to then lift the rib cage and show the ribs off while keep that lower stomach. We want to hold a tight core. So belly button in and brace the abs. That's a tight core. So have a little play with your core control because when we've got a nice core control between that glute, like that upper glute is great. And when we've got the
Hmm.
core in, like it's and this is what I mean with the glute shots, like the waist to the glutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's literally like those making those illusions better for your frame to present
Hmm.
yourself even better for those judges.
Yeah, the silhouette is there. It's just
Yeah. And the
maximizing it.
confidence.
Yeah.
I love seeing someone taking their time. Like she's really just like, this is my moment. I'm taking it.
Absolutely.
So that is everyone. That is everyone
I
for
believe
PCA.
so.
So it was a very small show, even though we still managed to talk for ages about it. So
Look,
well
we
done
just
to
like to
everyone.
talk.
I know we do. Well done to everyone that did the PCA. And
Congratulations,
then
everybody.
we have the two bros. So this wasn't too busy either. So
Hmm.
oh my God, there we go. It's something completely frozen. So we had
Congrats, Sam.
well done,
You
Sam.
look
I did speak to her in the
unreal.
audience briefly because I was there for Matt, last minute show. And she was nice and chill. I was excited to see her back on stage because from previous, we know she's great. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so we had, let's go back there so we can see the before and afters. There we go. So again, it's just Sam's muscle, isn't it? She just does have a very nice. I don't know why have they got that as their front shot? I don't know. I can't compare anything else like a side shot or anything, but we can just see it's just going to be the condition thing. Sam,
Yeah, like I mean, being honest though, like I think sometimes you just get someone turn up on stage and they just have it. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? Like, I've seen Sam plenty of times on stage. Obviously,
yeah,
she's a PCA pro as well, and like
she's
you,
back to the well, she was at
you
NSF
just
days as well.
yeah. You just know she's wellness. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes people step on stage and you're like, you don't need to see them against anybody else. You're like, that's a really good fit for what the category criteria is. So I think that, when you look at Sam,
That's
you've
just
got
nuts. Yeah. That was
it's
3 weeks
it's
ago as
crazy.
well.
Like, you look at that the you just can't help but look at the lower body. Like
That's nuts.
madness. But
It's
like,
crazy. She was
there's
also saying, interestingly, she's actually never competed in a Scottish show because obviously she's from there because of where
yeah.
she competes later in the year. So
That makes
I think
sense, to be
it's
fair.
yeah more helpful for her that it was only down the road for her.
Yeah, but like like I said, sometimes some people just turn up on stage and you're like, that's going to be hard to beat. And I think that Sam has one of those looks, like regardless of what stage she's on, she gets up there and you're like, that's going to take some beating. She's very experienced athlete, um, and she just keeps getting better. So yeah, like
Yeah, she isn't someone that's just suddenly turned up out of nowhere. She's been working hard. Like she's done a lot of shows.
yeah. But I,
Um,
I think this is possibly one of the best looks that I've seen from her. Like, I think that if you were going to say to me, what would you tell her to do differently to bring better? I'd be like,
keep showing up. Just for you.
Yeah, just keep
Keep
bringing that.
going.
Like,
I'm really excited to see how, like, the next shows, like what she's got planned. She told me a couple of like shows that she's got planned. I don't know if she's gonna keep it quiet or
okay,
not, so I won't say. But yeah, she's got some. I just said to her, biggest thing is like, especially when it's not to figure out more, but when you look this good, you can sometimes have a lot of external pressure or think you
sure.
have external pressure because everyone's like, well, you do so well, you win so many shows, you should be on for a pro card. But
Yeah.
ultimately, that pressure can really cause you to cave. And I
Mm,
just said to her, mate, just enjoy it. What will be will
yeah.
be. You're bringing your best look. She said this is the best look she's ever had as well, which it is. You
Yeah.
can't control anything else. And if you think about everyone, and this is to anyone, not just Sam, if you get so caught up thinking everyone thinks I'm on for this card and I don't get it, have I let everyone down? No, you haven't, because you've leveled up, you're continually bringing better, and the right people in the industry are always going to be like, do you know what? You look great. It will happen when it happens.
Yeah, it's
Matter,
just time, and it's like
turn it up.
that's not us saying that Sam is so perfect that she can't make improvements. Like if you were to say
No,
to me, Jodie, what would make her a better wellness competitor, I'd say, well, everything she's got now, but more of it.
bigger. Yeah, because she's
But
little as
that's
well. She's only little. So if you
but
look like the likes of like, if you see, think of like Chelsea, for example, because she's quite a
yeah,
new pro, and you look at her back shot, that's like I always think of her as like, I don't think she is wellness, but then you see her in her back shot, and I'm like, oh no, you're wellness. You're
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
wellness. So
yeah.
you got to think of that. Like she's quite deceptive until she hits that back shot, and you're like, oh no, that's big.
Yeah, but like I just think like if you know I, I'm not going to say anything to pressure Sam, but she has a lovely wellness look. It
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me that she took the win. Though I will say the other lady that was in the overall has like a really nice look too. I think it's just a matter of condition.
Yeah,
Like
just
her
so you
front shot's
can
very
see a
strong.
little bit of muscle there. The glute really popped. We can even see the core looks like it comes in quite tight. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just coming in a bit, and
yeah,
then really seeing what muscle is underneath,
yeah.
like
But I
to
think
then reveal that.
Yeah, but I think like just with Sam, like, if she's gonna get beat by anyone, I think it will probably be a size
Yeah,
thing. But that's always the case when you get to that kind of level. It's like, oh, that person has bit her glutes are a bit deeper or her hamstrings are a bit thicker. And you can't rush building muscle.
right.
Like it's there when it's there, and you just keep showing up until the package comes together in a way that the judges want. But this is the best I've seen her.
Yeah. And that's all you can do in this sport, isn't it? Like you as long as you keep getting better, you are on the right track,
Yeah,
ultimately.
100%.
Yeah.
But
And
no, I'm
especially
super.
for wellness, that's another level. Like you need that density. Like I'm pushing my density in my glutes now, like as in I need density, and that's bikini. Like we've been doing this bloody years and we're still chasing glutes. So
Yeah,
wellness is another level again. But yeah,
nice.
well done. And
Well
just the two
done.
of you, but still really, really well done. Then we had fit model. So the overall fit model winner was Becca.
Congratulations.
So if we get up to the overall lineup here, so the
Looking for
three girls
the
here,
best pictures again.
we'll find them. So just the three girls here. I mean, I think the back shot for me, I get drawn to Becca because it is that nice full glutes. Then it comes down to the legs. We've just got that little bit of I don't want to say separation in a bad way, but we can see
No,
like
there's
the glute
enough.
pop and then the leg. So it's not like separation, I mean, in the backs of the legs, which you can get away with fit model with a little bit. They're not opposed to that as long as it's nothing too crazy. But I mean, separation is in, if we see here, we could probably come in a tiny bit more, whereas this just makes the glutes pop a little bit more when it comes to the back shots.
Yeah.
As
By the way, I'm gonna make a comment that you might not agree with because this is purely cosmetic, but it matters more with IFBB NPC two bros than it does anyone else. I know this sounds like a really pathetic thing to
what
say.
are you saying?
I would just say, Becca, if you could get your hair a bit fuller so that in the
Oh
back
yeah,
it's
I get
covering your
extension.
back,
Mm.
that I think will help you more because what they always say with, at
Oh,
top
it
IFBB
matters.
level is don't show the judges anything that they don't need to see. And in fit model, and this goes for bikini and wellness as well, they are not looking at your back, but they will look at your back if if you show it to them. So this is why they always say, like, don't show us anything that we don't want to see. And you'll see with the other two girls in the lineup, their hair is nice and full and sitting between their shoulders, so you can't see their back. So I'd probably just recommend, and it's not even necessarily a length thing, though a little bit longer wouldn't go amiss if you were thinking about getting extensions. But I think even, I know this sounds silly, but even brushing out the curl a little bit, so that it was less perfect. I know it sounds like a weird thing to say because you want it to be perfect, but I think in having well presented curls, that's made it all more compact and therefore exposing the back a little bit more. But I think having the hair a bit thicker or covering the back a bit more would favor the look.
Well, that's the thing. So I've got long hair, but
Mhm.
even with competing, so all three shows, I actually wore three different sets of extensions because obviously new hair, who's this? I with my blonde hair before, I've got so many different blondes, it was a ball ache to stay blonde. So
Mhm.
hence changing, but I wanted to trial different lengths. So I
Yeah,
had like and all I had was one clip in because I don't need the extensions like for the length purpose. I
yeah,
wanted the volume, and I do to
yeah,
curl my hair on show day, which I don't know if I'll keep doing, but I just preferred a curled look. And my first look, I thought I could have a little bit more because I got like a 5 piece and I only put like 3 pieces in because I thought
okay,
that would be fine. It's a little bit straggy. Then I thought it was a bit long because again, we want to think, I normally get mine to roughly where my band is, or my back
yeah,
strap, but it was kind of near my glutes. Don't ever go above
yeah,
glutes. So I was like, I'll get shorter. So I got a 1 piece. Width was fine, a little bit scraggy with the curls. So then I got an even short one. Last one was way better. It just adds that bit of width down here. And then and always ask the girls, I've asked every single show before I get on stage, whoever's behind me, even if I've been by myself, I've asked the next class, can you just check my hair? Every
yeah.
girl would always check your hair, just
Mhm.
fluff it out, go through the back, just make sure, like comb through it with your fingers, and it will just like present a lot nicer and it's silly, but it does matter when you
Yeah.
create that overall, like, I don't want to say pretty, but it is that look that
It's
stands
the
out.
aesthetic that they
Polished,
want. You
polished look.
want it to be about an inch above the top of your knicker in terms of length, so that there is a small gap. Because you don't want your hair sitting on top of the glutes. You don't want anything potentially risking covering that. So they usually say about an inch.
Like I'd say this is
Um,
this is getting a bit long just here,
yes,
but
yeah. I would say the girl in the middle's length is spot on.
lovely.
But also you don't want, so I have this problem obviously with my curls, and that's why I had my hair in a protective hairstyle last year because my hair is growing out more than it is growing down. And so when I'm in the back pose for two bros, it sits over my rear delts, and they do want to see you, they want it to sit between the rear delts so that you can actually see them. But they don't want to see your main back.
Is it like
So
a U shape or a horseshoe? That's the best thing to think. It comes down and it creates a nice curve.
mm.
But yeah, overall, like, we're totally on a tangent with
No,
her.
but I think it is
It
important
looks good.
because I
Yeah.
think as well, and being honest, and we know this, a lot of coaches in the industry are men, and
Mhm.
there are a lot of male coaches that wouldn't be able to advise their clients on this because they don't, unless they're really studying and they see that as their responsibility to say,
Well, Matt
these
wouldn't
are
know when
things you
I've
wouldn't
asked him
know.
about hair, and I'm like, which hair accents are better? And he's like, I don't know, they look fine. Like if it was completely off, like he would notice. But yeah, like I think it helps know. And I've had girls before that have had like pixie style haircuts, and they're like, will this go against me in competing? And it's not to say like it will, because you don't want to be mean, but if you are wanting to get to that top level in an NPC, then if you're exactly the same as someone else and the only difference is the hair, they are probably going to sway towards something. And I don't want to say this in a bad way, but they will. UK up,
Yeah,
you wear what you want, but and it's always your choice. You don't If you are very adamant you want to look a certain way and you don't want to conform, you don't have to. You don't, but
yeah,
be open-minded that there is a look.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, like there are exceptions to the rule all the
Oh yeah.
time, right? So like there's an IFBB pro, and I don't know her name, but every time I see her, I can't help but look, who has a shaved head, right, in bikini, right? And she's incredible, but
Hmm.
she clearly gets away with that. Most people would not,
Yeah.
right? The same way that we always say don't have wild, crazy color hair, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a girl turn pro that had blue hair. Like that
Yeah.
wouldn't be the norm because they want you to look as natural as possible. It can happen. The same with bikini colors. They're like, okay, stick to
Yeah.
your red, green, blue,
The basic
purple,
colors.
and pink. But
Yeah.
then you see some of the pros wearing yellow and orange and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's them. That's not you.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're an amateur, particularly with NPC, and I keep saying IFBB, I know, but I come back from old
Yeah.
days where it
We
wasn't
get it. We
NPC.
get it.
I mean NPC.
Yeah.
Um, they're they're very particular, and as amateurs, they don't want you to be doing anything crazy. They want you to look like I woke up like this. I'm the
Yeah.
girl next door. Like I'm not trying to get attention for any reason other than the fact that my physique looks fantastic, and that is
Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? No crazy makeup, no bizarre bikini colors, no ombre bikinis, no
Pattern
crazy color
bikini.
hair, things in the hair, just plain girl
Yeah.
next door, all of that.
Yeah. And it sounds bad, but that's what it is. And
That's
that's
what
what
they
you're
want.
choosing to do. You don't have to do it. Remember that. Like like I said, with my hair extensions, I just get clip-in ones. Like my length is fine. You adapt, and there is that pretty element to it. It is. It isn't who's the skinniest, who's the prettiest, who's this is that. It's the whole look. It's
Hmm.
everything you're presenting on stage. So understand the fit model criteria,
Yeah,
understand the bikini criteria,
yeah,
understand the wellness criteria, and like if you and you should be able to talk to your coach. And obviously, yeah, I think a lot of males are like, especially if they coach females, they're better. Like Matt doesn't
yeah,
coach females, so he coaches me, but he knows that I do what I need to do.
yeah,
Like if I asked him what bikini color should I wear, he won't. He would either say if it looked bad, and he has preferences, but he's
yeah,
just like they all look great. If they looked
yeah,
bad, he would tell me. So that's the thing as well, being like knowing you need all those little bits that you need to know. Makeup
yeah.
matters, hair
Yeah, what
matters,
I would say is
hair
like
matters,
PCA, you get away with a little bit more individual
a little bit more
expression.
fun.
Yeah, so if you want to have crazy color hair, they're not going to penalize you. If you want to shave your head, cool. If you want to wear crazy weird bikini colors, they probably clap for that.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So, but whereas NPC very particular about what they want, they don't want you to stand out for any reason other than you just had the best physique on stage on the day, nothing distracting
yeah. And I think
for the
you
wrong reasons.
yeah, you got to remember they are like a worldwide thing. So that the criteria needs to be the same everywhere. Like it is that's the standard. Look at Olympia, look at Arnold. So the two big ones, the standard that's being brought onto those stage is what needs to be filtered out everywhere. So it isn't just like the UK two bros, it's just like that is everything. So just know
Mm,
that.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so all these girls, lovely. But
Hmm.
Becca was the winner. And
Yeah,
like I said, I think we can just kind of see why with the presentation she's
yeah,
got here, like front shot, we can see nice little glute pop,
yeah.
like waist, top line's looking nice. Again, this is what you were saying about everything needs to look relaxed. It's
Yes,
not.
I was going to say that it looks
It
effortless,
looks
but
relaxed, but it's
yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so well done to Becca. Hopefully we'll see her in a few more shows. There isn't another regional now actually until June, I think.
Okay.
So I think this
Big
was the
gap.
last chance. And
Get ready
then
for the PCA updates only.
and then we have the overall winner. And we want to say she's called Hasty.
We believe, yes.
Believe we did a little bit of research.
Again, if we pronounced it wrong,
Sorry.
apologies.
Um,
Please
but
tell
yeah.
us if we're wrong.
So Class A winner. So
Yes.
repping for
It's
the
not
Class A.
very, I was going to say, it's not very common that you see it. Like what you typically see is your C, D, E, but, you know, typically they are also the bigger classes because they're your average height
Yeah.
classes. Do you know what I mean? So the argument would be if there's more people in the classes, it's more competitive, which then means
Yeah.
overall that look is going to be more competitive.
Mhm.
So when you see like your extremes in heights coming in, that's a good
Mhm.
standard there because they're normally the outliers with less people to compete with.
So let's zoom in so we can see everyone even better with this photography. Um, so we've got Hasty on the end here. So this is obviously when they first came out by looks of things because it's
Mm.
all done in height
Height
order.
order, yeah.
Um, and we spoke a little bit about this. To be fair, we're drawn to quite a few of the girls on stage. So Hasty
Hmm.
does look like she has a nice, again, from this photo, the shadows and stuff, a nice overall balance, nice bit of muscularity from the top.
Bubbliness, yeah.
Yeah, it's that nice full muscle, like there as Adam from Thingy would, the pretty muscle. So we've
Yes.
got nice full delts, it looks like nice full glutes, nice tight waist. And then going along the line as a whole, there's like it does look like it's a nice lineup, to be fair.
Yeah.
We've got girls like glutes are looking full, waists are looking tight. If we go to
Hmm.
back shots here, so now they've all changed again. So that's
Yeah.
great. Um, again, just looking through the middle here, we've got Hasti in the middle. Again, it's again balancing. So quads actually look quite big from this back
Mm.
shot. So not that it obviously caused any problems for her. Being short as well, wrapping from the short people, you've got short limbs. So things go out more than they go up. So for
Yeah.
me, like I sometimes, if I need to, if my quads maybe look a bit more overpowered than my glutes, I would just turn my toes in just a tiny bit. It feels really unnatural to be like cowbowed legged, but
Yeah.
just turning them in a little bit just to balance that out. But
See, I do wonder, and I might be wrong, Hasty. So please, I'm just going off this picture and what I can see. I do wonder if maybe there's some rotation at the knee
yeah,
there, which is causing the outer quad sweep. Like,
yeah,
I think you can probably afford to keep your foot placement as it is, but just allow the knees
head
to
to the knee.
relax forward a little bit more and soften them a smidge because that's going to enable you to keep the glutes pushed back without rotating and squeezing potentially because rotating the knees can cause a squeeze on the glutes. So just I think maybe not rotating them as much, just relaxing the knee, allowing it to trend forward a little bit, might also actually help with the glutes looking a little bit fuller as well.
Because yeah, if you rotate and then tense, it's just going to create the quads, but sometimes it can create more tension in those glutes. So like having a little play, and it feels odd because again, especially in bikini, everything is yes natural but fixed. So you naturally want to be like, I've got to do something on my lower body. And if you just stand
Yeah,
and tilt the pelvis back, because she's got the muscle, whether
yeah.
she's or not, tensing or not, but if you are flexing, like it's gonna feel weird because you're like, I need to be switched on from everywhere.
Yeah,
The muscle.
yeah.
You don't
If
need.
you look a lot at a lot of the pros side on when
Mm,
they're doing their back pose, a lot of them have a bend at the knee.
mm.
And a lot of
How
people
making sure you
overlook
don't go
this.
the other way. Don't please
No, no,
don't
no, you don't want to squat on stage. Like we
don't
don't want you looking like you're sitting on a toilet, right?
don't
That's
do
not
crab legs.
no, but you will notice that they have a soft knee
Often.
so that
Yeah.
they can hinge their hips backwards without rotating at the knee, which will cause a squeeze at the glutes. So I think just personally, just relaxing the knee in. I'm not saying collapse them inwards, like we don't want to go in extremes, but just a little less rotation on that knee and allowing the knee to track almost in front of you rather than out would just help it look less quaddy and a little bit more glutey.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know we spoke about this when we were looking at the lineup and stuff, just how we're drawn to Nadine, isn't it?
Nadine. Mm,
Those glutes, like just that back shot is nuts. Like the delts to the waist to the
yeah.
glutes, is yeah, I'm drawn
Yeah.
immediately. If I see big full glutes, I'm like,
I
yeah.
think for me it was the front pose. It looked very typically what I would expect a IFBB front pose
Mhm.
to look like. Nice full muscle bellies,
Mhm.
nice round side profile of the glute, nothing over intimidating. I think Eloise to the left of her looks very good as well, very much improved since the last time that she got on stage. Um, So yeah, there's definitely noteworthy physiques in there. Like I don't necessarily think it was a straightforward uh
No.
decision, but like we said, there were definitely other physiques that we were drawn to in this lineup.
Something to that which has made me think about it as well is when you are on a good tip, we're full of these posing tips. When you are in a lineup like this, so whether it is an overall lineup like this, whether you are in PCA comparisons, whatever it is, if you are these girls, you can see Hasti's doing it here. If you are any of these girls on the side, the head judge is here.
Yeah.
Always pose. Don't pose to your friends and family because you can always see the girls who are posing. So the reason I think a little bit more so, I think both these girls are, but more
Hmm.
so has to because we can see a bit more of her glute. Her waist looks smaller, whereas we don't see as much glute here. And I
Hmm.
just wonder how much we're posing a little bit
Wow.
more front on compared to the side. So no matter where you are in the lineup, if you're on the outside, don't pose to any of your friends and family. It's unnatural because you feel like you always have to post directly in front of you. But remember, it's the head judge and those judges. So I, being someone that was class A and on the end, I it feels odd, but do pose into always make sure you're looking at the head judge and direct yourself in, just so they've got your best angles. Like give yourself a
Yeah.
chance of, and obviously that's what Hasty did to move in, rather than if you're on the side, you're just not going to show
Mm.
your best profile. So just bear that in mind whenever you're in any lineup, you're on the end, face the judge. Don't face your
Mhm.
friends and family. Always face the judge and give them loads of eye contact. Make them
And
stare.
I will say though, that's more relevant with NPC than it is PCA.
Yeah.
Don't stare at the judges for PCA. They don't like it.
Smile at them.
Like
Good way.
a glance and a smile, but I can honestly say, having sat on the judging panel, there is nothing more uncomfortable than you trying to judge someone and you've got people just staring at you like this. Like it's because you're like, are you going to look away or am I going to look away? If I look away, does that make me rude? And now it looks like I'm just looking at
Maybe
you.
don't death stare the judges when you're there. Just look at them all, and then look at the camera, and
Oh,
then look at them all, and just have a nice smile and be more natural with it. Don't be like you there. I see you. You're
look,
looking at
my
me.
my best advice
Move
for
me
P
in.
my best advice for PCA is walk on, hit the front line, polite glance across the judges' table to acknowledge them, then look up and above their heads.
Yeah.
Because as well, I have got so many pictures of me where I'm looking like this because I'm looking down at the judges' panel. If you look up and forward, your pictures are going to look like you're looking at the camera rather than at the judges who don't really want to be stared at anyway. So,
Also,
so
it sounds weird, but if you know where your friends and family are, you will
mm,
have a way more natural smile to smile at them because
yeah,
I know the saying goes, smiling is contagious, but it is. I will always find out where Matt is because no doubt, because my smile is like, oh my God, they're all staring at me. Ah! But if I find Matt and I see him in the audience and he's like, go on, that naturally is way more of a natural smile
mm,
because I'm smiling at someone who's just really happy. So if
yeah,
you find friends, family, like I will always make sure that, and I'm sure you're exactly the same, when you've got your team on the stage, that smile does not leave my
yeah,
face because if they need to look at me for any comfort, they will naturally see me smiling because I'm so proud of them. And then they will naturally be like, oh, and you'll just see
yeah.
like a sudden different smile because they've gone from like to
I
hi.
do, like I said, that I do think it is more encouraged with
Yeah.
NPC to engage with the judges more. Um, I think with PCA as well, it's like if you're staring at the judges and they're looking at you and then they start writing something down, in your head, it's like, oh my God, are they writing something about me? Are they writing something good? Did I do
Do you
something
like me?
bad?
Do you
You then
not?
start analyzing what they're thinking, like if they've stopped smiling because their face is hurting, and you're like, oh my God, like they stopped smiling as soon as I looked at them. Like it's just better to like just not look at them,
Please
pretend they're not
don't
there.
overthink the judges. Just have fun. Like,
Yeah, they're
just
just
have
doing
fun.
their job. They're not, you don't need to overthink that. So I think like, yeah, for PCA, I would just recommend acknowledge them politely. If you intermittently glance down and smile, that's fine. But locking eyes with someone and staring at them.
Big Death Star the judges,
I mean,
please.
I love to stare at Dan Welburn because he hates
So in summary, don't be intimidating. Don't stare down one judge. Have
No, don't,
a
I would not
smile. Find your
recommend.
friends and family.
But yeah, I think be engaging, but that doesn't mean stare.
Yeah. I think, and like I said, find your way of finding that natural smile. So, like in that eye walk, that's when I would say, look at the camera. Always look at the camera. Like
Yeah.
judges are judging you. You can give them a little eye contact as you walk on, like as you do your pose at the back and you start walking, like be like, oh, hi, I'm here.
Mm,
But then look at your camera because that camera, they're your photos. Like
yeah.
that's, and as you said earlier, like that's not being judged. That's your time. So
Mm,
when you can look ahead, and as we said before, slow your posing down, take your time, just think about your photos. And that's the biggest thing I've said to anyone, client or not, think of your photos on stage so you can post them. Because if you rush, you're not gonna have good photos. So slow
yeah.
yourself down for those photos, and then you'll just have better photos, but you'll control yourself and have a lot more composure on stage because you're giving yourself time to think. So
Yeah.
PCA, you have way more time to do that than two bros. Two bros
Yes.
is like front, back, off you go. Know how to go quick for two bros, but controlled.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, like I said, I think little nuances. You've got to understand that as a bikini competitor or wellness competitor or whatever it is, like yes, you are getting on stage in the same category with these federations, but how you present yourself between federations needs to be tweaked ever so slightly to fit what the the federations want. So, NPC do want a little bit more engagement with the judges. They want you to be less aggressive in how you pose, and they want you to be more effortless or look effortless. Whereas like if you take that same posing and apply it to PCA, it's not necessarily going to be received the same way, even though you are representing the same category criteria. It's not the same criteria across all federations, it's the same category, but what each federation wants is just slightly different. So just make sure you do your homework on what they want so you can present yourself the best way to each.
Yep, perfect. So that is everyone. So well done to everyone that competed this weekend.
Well done, guys.
And hopefully you found this useful. We have yapped for a long time. You are all welcome. And yeah, remember standard stuff, like, subscribe, comment, drop us a message. We've had a few messages to say people are liking this, so that's great. So just keep
Mm-mm.
telling us that you like it and we'll keep going. And if
Yeah,
we
we
don't
need the
get
moral
messages, we
support.
won't we won't make it to 2027 if we don't get these messages.
We've got to make it to episode 10. I feel like when we get to episode 10, we should have a cake.
Oh my God, yes.
Any excuse for cake.
I know. Yeah, that's the thing. I think people always think you've got to wait till your birthday to have a cake. You can like
Mm-mm.
adult money. You can go to a shop whenever you want and get a cake. Not impressed
Well,
afterwards.
when I feel like every 10 episodes, we should have.
Okay, I'm
Right,
absolutely
guys, comment on what celebrations we should have.
right. So that is it. Well done to everyone. We will be sure to be in the next one, but to make sure that we know you're watching, like, subscribe, comment, and we will keep coming back with these. And we will see you in the
Indeed.
next one.
PCA first timers. See you soon.
First timers. See you next week.